Hello everyone. It has been a while since I posted a video, and hopefully what you see behind me explains why. We got a lot in store on this video, so hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into it. Whoa, paper's a little slick on the ground. I almost died. Alright, I'm cutting open Tyvek, or house wrap. Technically this is not official Tyvek, I know. It's Home Depot, ever built. That's all we got, people. I think right now it's just getting caught on the first row. If you can just kind of pull it back maybe. Alright, I'm gonna pull down another few feet. Ready?
Yeah, it's extension cord.
Oh. Not bad for one light. Alright, we're going to install our windows. We did our house wrap and pretty happy with how that went. We're just going to be using some OSI Quad clear silicone window siding sealant. I used this stuff on the siding of the house when I redid it, and happy with how it's, you know, expanded, contracted, and just held up. So seems like a good product to me. Alright, our window is set in place. Now we shimmed the bottom just for expansion of the building, and you can see here the window's a lot tighter in the opening on the left side, so you just want to make sure that you have an even reveal on each side. But we'll put some screws in on the bottom at first, and then we'll probably do one on each side. And before we do both sides, we'll do like one screw, check our opening and closing, put another screw, and continue. I'm going to put a screw in here. We're going to continue screwing off the rest of the window, and then we'll tape it off, and we'll have two more to go. Nothing fancy, but I think this will work well. Okay, looks pretty good. Alright, we're going to start by working on our doors. When I did the rough opening framing, I took into consideration the height that I needed, which was 82.5, and then the door I looked at said it was 40 inches for a rough opening. I didn't really think much of it. I checked the door now that I bought it, and the rough opening is 38.5. So I might have accidentally been looking at a different style door, maybe it had a thicker jamb, I don't know. I do have extra hat channel from messing up earlier, but what I think we'll do is we'll move this over, and then on this stud back, we'll cut the hat channel center, and then I'll just cut a new piece. This door is turning out better than the other one just because I think I'm taking my time more. Sometimes I'm not very good at doing that. So I may go back and actually redo how that other door was. This one feels like it's opening and closing a lot better. And I think one step I forgot to do on that door was level the sill. And on that side, I noticed I have way less. This reveal looks a lot more even, but I was looking at that one this morning and not as impressed with it as this one. So I may do maybe redoing that side. When you go to the store, at least at our Home Depot, I bought the same style key that my house key uses, and they can rekey the lock so that way it matches your house key. So that's what I did here. Just helps so you don't have to have another set of keys to carry around. I've been working on fixing my mistakes, so I'm glad I went back and addressed this door. This is going to be the main door I walk in and out of, so taking the extra time and making sure it felt nice and smooth when I opened it was well worth the effort. Alright, got both of our doors installed. I'm glad I redid that door. Happy with how they've come out. Now our windows are done and our doors are done. Next thing we need to do is install trim. What we will be using around the majority of the building is this. They call it a J trim. It's got a 3/4 by 3/4 by I think 1.5 inch and creates that J. So your metal will sit into this channel. After making my cuts, I was able to fold this down so that it's gonna cap each side piece, and this inside is going to be the width of our door trim, and then this 3/4 inch piece is going to match the 3/4 of our J on the side. And then this, by turning it down like this, the water that'll accumulate in this J trim can go down the side and travel down. I'll put a little bit of silicone right here on this joint just because that's probably where some water could get behind. If it does get behind, it'll roll down the house wrap, but just something I'll do real quick. We're gonna move in a different direction for now. We have one more window to do and the other door to trim out. I messed up on a few pieces of J trim cutting that second window, and I was going through the pile of parts we had, and I have a lot of 16-foot sections of J trim, so I set aside 6 just to make sure I could frame out the garage doors and then figure out what I may have to buy. Thankfully, the white trim looks almost identical to the white trim we have at the store, and that's one reason I bought the white trim, was just in case I messed up I didn't have to special order a color. So here's some of our pieces. Sits on the front like so. I'll have to trim it obviously, but it'll give a nice clean white finish here. On the 3-inch side, I ran my snips down 1 inch and then folded this over. So my theory is that this side will be seen from the inside, and then when I put my top piece on, I'll just cut it to 12 feet and then it'll sit here, and then this corner will help, you know, hide the metal framing and hopefully give a clean look. We'll see how it goes. When I use my benders, I'm not going straight to the line I made, probably holding it back about 1/8 inch, because when I go to make that bend, I have to take into consideration the radius, and that pretty much happens right on the 12-foot mark. Looks really clean. I've decided we're going to do the miters on the garage doors. Obviously this front door is going to be its own. It is what it is. I wanted to try it out just to see how it looked. I think it's a clean look as well, but I just want to keep getting better at the miter cuts and understand them better, so practice makes perfect, right? Okay, that looks good. The screws are just going through both metals and holding it together. So after finishing up the J trim around the garage doors, I moved on to doing the windows. Now the clips you see are the second go around of me doing the J trim. I wasn't super happy with how the miters came together, so I ended up redoing the windows. Okay. There's our bottom miter on each side. Looks pretty good. All right, that looks really good. All right, we're gonna start putting up our wall metal. We made sure that it was raining outside and that it was muddy.
And cold.
And cold. Those are the 3 requirements before you start working on something. What we have done is we've set up the rotary laser to be in our center point of the hat channel. We made our mark at 55 1/4 up, so we know where to line it up with our laser. That looks pretty good. I'm glad that my $700 laser is more accurate than my $20 level. It's our first piece of metal up. That feels good. We continued working down this wall, and once we got around this window, it was smooth sailing. We pretty much just put up full sheets till we got to the end, and then we had to cut our last piece to about 2 feet wide. Now we ended up going back and putting a second row of screws up just to make sure that everything would hold tight with the wind until the morning. Today's kind of our big day where both of us are here and we can work together, and we're gonna see what we can get done. I'm setting up the rotary laser right now. Our metal actually looks, our metal looks pretty straight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a 2-inch overhang of our metal. We'll run our metal to this rather than the edge of here. If your building was perfectly plumb and straight, you could run to the edge of this, but since we're rookies and we're learning, we can't do that. So I'm gonna put my first screw right here into my bottom hat channel, and then this will act as like a pivot point, so I don't want this to come any lower, but I do want this side to go lower down, so. And I'm just matching that reveal, and right there, I'm gonna go with that. Call it good for now. That's our first piece of metal in. With that first piece installed, we just made our way down the roof. I was putting in a row of screws at the bottom and the top. I will go back later and do all the remainder, but we wanted to make sure it was held down for the wind. About halfway down, we had to make some small adjustments to each panel, probably because our first piece wasn't as true as we thought, but no big deal. The next day, we finished up the remainder of the roof. I forgot to get the camera out, but the only real difference was we had less room to work with since the chain link is closer to the shop, but overall happy with how the roof went. All right, we are going to start laying out and cutting the front wall. For us, we're starting in the middle. These 2 pieces here, we're gonna cut out our door. Those top 3 are going above our first door. We'll have our peak, which is over there, ready to get cut. Those 3 will work its way down, and then this will be our last piece, so. I'm just gonna keep working my way to the left, and just like I did over here, I'll be taking my measurements, making sure my piece slides into my J-trim. I'll have 2 cuts on the end piece. That way I can notch out my door. And then my last piece, I'll cut the final side of that door. So I'm gonna get to it and get the front side done. As I continued on the front wall, the key was making sure each piece was running plumb. I would just check with my level on each sheet before I put my screws in. It was really cool to see the front wall complete and one step closer. I got so tunnel visioned on just getting this backside done, I forgot to put the camera up. So, sorry about that, but it's okay. All that was boring. This is what matters, right? The last piece of metal. Well, awesome. It's been a lot of work. At the time of this recording, this is the weekend before Christmas. We've been working a lot of extra late hours. Been worth it. Hopefully you can understand the need to get stuff done, and I work full time, and it's just my opportunity to get things done. So all in all, I think we did pretty good for our first metal install. Learned a lot. I'm gonna wrap it up and put those screws in and then call it a night. So today we are finishing up the trim on our building. Alright, now that it's a little bit easier to see what I was doing, on the front side I started by putting in the top row of screws since it's getting covered by the trim. Once I was done with that, I moved on to my trim pieces, and they're 10'6" each, so I installed a full piece on each end and then cut the remaining 2 sections. They ended up being about 7 feet. I let them run past just a tiny bit on the peak, and then I made my final marks and cuts up there. On the right hand side, I cut it first, and then with the left side, which is the side we get most of our wind from, I did a little bit of a special detail to make sure that it overlapped that top piece at the peak, and I was really happy with how it came together. I finished up by installing my ridge cap, which I did off camera, but that finished up all the trim we had on our building. Well guys, after all of the mental struggles that I had, I think it turned out okay. I ran the pieces long. I'm gonna leave it for now just to see how things come together with gutters and maybe anything that may come along the way. You never know. I'm gonna leave it just based off how things have been going for me today. So I'm trying not to beat myself up too much because it's not like I do this every day. Next up on the list is garage doors. We're gonna be installing electrical out here at some point. Hoping to do some sort of like a driveway to some pavers, and we also are doing an outdoor kitchen in the future, so stay tuned for videos to come on the channel, and really appreciate everyone who has been watching. I think it's cool to see that people are tuning in and interested in what I'm doing. So I'm not a professional, but hopefully you guys see me get better as time goes on. So yeah, we're gonna call it a day, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.